Well, we're in the endgame now. Geometry Dash 2.2 is right around the corner, if by that you mean it should have been out by now, but game development stuff happened. I wasn't planning on making any more videos until 2.2, but RobTop just dropped a huge trailer with pretty much everything coming in the update, and there's a lot I want to talk about. Also, I need to make it clear that I don't have any sort of 2.2 access or insider knowledge. Everything I know is public information, some of it's just lesser known. First of all, yes, the update was delayed from October to November 2023. If I had a nickel for every time that happened to an indie game, I'd have 10 cents. It turns out that 2.2's last minute features and fixes took longer than expected, and I can actually respect that. We've already waited 6 years for this update, and I can handle a couple extra weeks to make sure it's actually good. Should it have taken this long in the first place? No, I think there's enough content here to span a solid 10 updates, and some features should have been released as soon as they were ready. Unfortunately for RobTop, it seems that he would start adding something, then get a new idea, then go work on that instead, leaving him with half a decade of unfinished features or ones that he keeps expanding. Also, if you didn't already hear, both Versus Mode and the Level Explorers have been delayed to sometime after 2.2. Versus Mode I'm not too bothered by since there will be so much other stuff to do in the update. As for Explorers, well, it's disappointing, but I can respect it. I'd rather have RobTop take his time to make a level he's proud of than rush one out to meet the tight deadline. And I know that he feels the same way. If you look at the spin-off games like Geometry Dash World or Sub-Zero, it's pretty easy to tell that parts were rushed to meet the holiday deadline. But despite this, he never went back to fix them, aside from the coins. I don't want a level like Explorers to suffer the same fate. It's okay, RobTop, you go when you feel like it. Just don't leave the level in the game files, you keep doing that for some reason. Anyways, I think the real reason this update took so long is because of the one simple rule RobTop operates on. Minor updates cannot add new editor objects. Think about it, I started playing Geometry Dash in 1.9, and the first update I ever downloaded was 1.92. It added smooth fix, editor layers, and a slightly higher object limit. But were there new objects or triggers? No. And how about 2.11, the version we're currently on? It added weekly demons, the community shop, 5 key chests, level leaderboards, and what did we get in the editor? Literally just this new grouping feature. It's this weird and unnecessary level of stubbornness in my opinion. Only major updates can get major editor features, but major updates also need a new level and new icons and new mechanics, and before you know it, it spirals out of control. I'm sure there's features in this update that have been done for years, like look at Geometry Dash Sub-Zero. But we don't get access to them because it has to wait for 2.2, that's just how it works. I'm really excited for this massive truckload of editor features we're getting, but I would have preferred if they were rolled out in smaller batches so creators can explore and master them bit by bit. Because now people are going to try and cram every single new thing in a single level, RobTop included. Maybe we'll get some new editor stuff alongside the release of Explorers, but who knows if it'll become a regular thing. I have to say though, I feel a bit bad for RobTop right now. He's been stressing about getting this update out for years, especially these past few months, and as soon as it's out, people are just gonna start asking for Explorers in Versus Mode. I know he technically did this to himself, but I wouldn't complain if he said he needed a break at some point. Maybe it would even be wise to look into a proper dev team. Right, so the trailer. Here's what RobTop left us with while we wait for these last few weeks. Okay, jokes aside, the beginning of the trailer highlights the 700 new icons coming in 2.2. To put that into perspective, the game currently has 355, not including glows or deaths, but yes, including the Sub-Zero ones. Furthermore, 497 of the new ones were leaked in light a while back, but all the cubes except these ones were taken out. Either way, we get to see a ton of new ones in the trailer, including a boomling icon with a grabby hand UFO, this new trail, which is simple, but I like it, a Moai cube, an axolotl ship, and a glowy trail since the game doesn't have enough glow. We got a discount Sub-Zero icon, these TV boys, Nico one-shot, that one game, Windows Terminal, a self-insert, terrifying, holy fuzzy, literally just ultra-violence, copyright infringement, platformer level foreshadowing, and get this, another cat icon. Looking at this frame from the trailer, there's 14 pages of icons for a total of around 350 new ones. Also, new colors to choose from, and custom glow colors, which I have to say, white glow looks so nice. Glow also doesn't blend with the background anymore, as seen in this tweet by Vipebrain where he casually drops that he's been recording his videos on 2.2 for the past month. Nice. If you look carefully, there's also a second spider tab in the icon kit, which is most likely just a placeholder for jetpacks, the platformer equivalent to ship. Unfortunately, only the default jetpack is shown in this trailer, so I doubt there's that many, but I'm sure they're going to be tied to platformer achievements. Overall, I'm very excited for all these icons, and there's already some that I really want, like this awesome Gengar spider and this one UFO. But what concerns me the most is credit. A huge chunk of these icons were designed by the community, but I don't see credits in the icon kit or in any of the shops. There's so many amazing icon artists in the game's community, and in my opinion, crediting them is the very least that RobTop could do. I'm pretty confident there'll be credits somewhere, but if not, let's hope it shows up in an update not long after. My other concern is how you unlock the icons. The trailer said 700 icons, there's probably more, so let's break down how you might get them. First off, the video description says there's over 100 new achievements, which is actually less than I was expecting. But my biggest fear is that they'll be for crazy amounts of stats, like 50,000 stars or 1,000 demons, because not everyone has been playing the game since 2.1. Some players are starting from nothing, and achievements like that will be brutal for them. I can only think of one thing worse than that, and it's rate the stars of 10,000 levels. And RobTop, if there is an achievement like that, I will personally organize a date where the entire community grinds this out together, and we will download so many levels that your servers catch fire. Sorry, what was I talking about? Oh, right. It's worth noting that there's also going to be some more platformer achievements since they give you moons instead of stars. We don't actually see moons anywhere in this trailer, but the video description says they do indeed exist. Now, what about the other ways to unlock icons? Well, there's 30 new gauntlets as well as a bunch of shops and chests. Not to mention the tower and tons of other stuff scattered around the update. It would be nice if half the unlocks didn't just say, good luck. But I don't have that much faith in RobTop. I would not be surprised if there's a new vault in this update, or like 10 of them. And if that's the case, just why? Vaults have been done to death, and even though I really like the characters they introduce, the way you obtain icons from them is so stupid. At the very least, change the formula up a little bit. Let me date the Vault Keeper or something. I was initially pretty worried about the shops because RobTop is well aware that there are players with millions of unspent mana orbs. I thought for sure there would be icons sold for like 100,000 orbs each, but looking at the trailer, that doesn't seem to be the case. There's just a lot of icons and the prices add up. What does worry me though is the treasure room. There are now 10, 25, 50, and 100 key chests. Previously you needed 440 keys to open everything, but now that number is up to 3,650, which is the equivalent to 3,650 demon levels or 182 million mana orbs earned. For the record, I have like 250 keys. I think it's nice that there's a bottomless number of chests to open, but if there's icons mixed in there, that is a massive disaster waiting to happen. Imagine having your heart set on a really cool icon, but the only way to get it is to spend 50 keys for a 1 in 20 chance. What kind of cruel game would do that? Never mind. The problem is that achievements are just objectively better. If an icon you want is locked to a specific achievement, you can adapt the way you play the game to slowly work towards it, whether it's grinding stars or orbs or even gauntlets. And when your hard work finally pays off, it feels amazing. Working towards achievements can be really fun, especially when there's a reward that makes it worth it. But with the chest's gacha-like system, you don't get that. You have to work super hard, only for it to be left to chance. Either way, hopefully most of these chests will just have big amounts of mana orbs or diamonds, and hopefully if there's an icon you want, you can just reload your save until you get it. And worst case scenario, there's always icon hack. Alright, enough icon talk. Here's another look at the new level, which we now know is officially called Dash. Yep, the level following Finger Dash is just Dash. What are we getting next? H? Similarly, the new game mode is called the Swing, not the Swingcopter. I don't think people realize this anymore, but the name Swingcopter came from this game by the creator of Flappy Bird called Swingcopters. I've always found that really strange, so I'm happy that it's just Swing. In fact, if you look at my previous videos, I already refer to it as that. Speaking of the Swing, the only notable change to this level is that its portal is yellow now. And as a colorblind person who already retextured the UFO portal to yellow since I kept confusing it with the ball, it's definitely an L for me. Not that it matters since the portals have labels now, but I already know creators are going to cover them up like the doofuses they are. But yeah, the rest of the level is unchanged as far as I can tell. The mini portals are still potions, and you still have to hit these little yellow coin blocks. I'm fine with this gimmick, but there needs to be some sort of indication for hitting them, since it looks like you can just slide across and skip the whole thing. Anyways, my biggest hope for Dash is that this sideways spider part is gone, because it is the worst introduction to a mechanic that I've ever seen. And to rub it in, there's a perfect spot to introduce going sideways right after the swing part. Mark my words, when 2.2 comes out, I'm going right into this level, and that is the first thing I am checking for. Anywho, platformer mode. It's a thing that exists. and we've seen a lot of this before. There's only going to be 4 platformer levels, and I think I'm cool with that. We're getting 4 really high quality examples with heavy focus on providing inspiration to creators so they can make their own stuff. Maybe we'll even have a demon list for platformer levels, and maybe we'll even call them Kaizo levels. After all, the phrase secret way stuck around. I think out of all the platformer stuff shown in the video, this level here is by far my favorite. It looks like a massive gauntlet of challenges, and I especially like this coin snuck in between these fireballs. We actually don't know what these mini coins do yet, but they've been in all the sneak peeks. In fact, there's even blue ones. Geometry Dash doesn't have lives, and it doesn't make sense for these to be a currency, so my pretty obvious guess is that platformer levels have secret coins. More specifically, I think there'll be a secret coin for finding all the yellow coins in a level, another one for finding all the blue coins, and maybe a third coin tied to a speedrun time or something. Overall, as cool as platformer mode is, I don't really see myself playing that many levels. I think they lack the same energy as traditional scrolling levels, but if I'm ever looking for a more chill experience, I'll definitely check them out. Demon platformers? Definitely not. Platformer levels also seem really difficult to make. Case in point, this is not Mario Maker. Remember this door from the last sneak peek? Chances are you have to do all of this by hand. The opening animation, the functionality, the triggers required, everything. These falling crates? Same deal. I know doing it this way provides more freedom for creators, but I don't think many people want to spend their time making all these little details. Platformer mode really needs some presets or pre-made mechanics, and I'm hoping that the community will make a few that can be easily pasted into levels. Oh yeah, there's also this part.
Dare defy the Lord of Darkness. How bold of you, peasant. Your power is meaningless.
Okay, I don't know if this is actual lore or if RobTop just saw these voice lines in his library of stock sound effects and was like, hell yeah. Also, I like that it's literally just GLaDOS. By the way, remember the skeleton? His name is Rattledash, and he's gonna be important later. This clip in particular left me wondering about the new lore that 2.2 is going to bring to the game, because in case you forgot about the monster, that's a thing. While we don't know where the monster fits into the new stuff, we do know that 2.2 introduces the tower, which unlocks the map. Chances are the tower is home to the 4 platformer levels mentioned before, but what's the map? It's part of the editor area, so is it going to be custom levels? If so, how are they going to be picked? Everyone's collectively agreed that early 2.2 levels are going to be chaos, but are those the ones that are going to be chosen? And will we be stuck with them forever, or will they be changed? And this one's a stretch, but is RobTop going to personally commission some creators to make official feeling levels? Or will he just randomly pull from the feature tab and bam, Marsh Potato by Bunch is now an integral part of Geometry Dash lore? And here's an idea. What if the layout and levels are randomized for everyone and it's a replayable roguelike of some sort? So many questions. I'm excited for the map, but looking at map packs and gauntlets, who knows what's gonna happen. Cool, let's talk about the editor. At the end of the day, we're the ones keeping this game alive, so new editor features are infinitely more important than some icons or a new RobTop level. By the way, you misspelled game engine. First up, we've got a library of over 6,000 royalty-free songs to use. These were already found a while ago because if you plug the IDs into 2.1, you can see the song name, but there's no download link yet. In fact, you know Kevin MacLeod, the guy who made this song? And this one? And this one? Yep, these are all usable in 2.2. The song from the tower in the last sneak peek is also from this library. It's called Stranding by, and I'm gonna butcher this, Sebaravala. It's a Doom-inspired track marketed as music for FPS games that any developer can buy and use. I like this stock song system, but it leaves me with 2 pretty major concerns. First off, this is legal, right? RobTop's obviously paying to use these for his game, but now we've got thousands of songs that we can freely use and rip from the files pretty easily. If I play one of these songs outside of GD, am I gonna get in legal trouble? What if instead of songs, he was distributing, like, movies? I'm sure this is all under control, but I wanted to bring it up anyways. Secondly, what does this mean for the future of custom songs? For the 10-year anniversary video, Waterflame was commissioned to make a brand new 3-minute track called Unstable Geometry. And what was it for? A 25-second loading screen to a massive level that uses Scheming Weasel, a royalty-free track by Kevin MacLeod. There's 2 possibilities here. Either Unstable Geometry is used somewhere in the tower and RobTop didn't want to reveal it yet, or it's not used for anything at all, and RobTop would rather use random stock music than an original soundtrack made for the game. Think about that for a bit. My optimistic guess is that there will be some original music. It would be a shame to see unstable geometry go to waste, and there's already been some talk about RobTop commissioning these stock artists for original tracks, specifically Seberavala. I just really don't want to see the community steer away from Newgrounds in favor of casual game music 09. I know this library is really good for calm music that fits platformer mode, but you can't deny that it steals the spotlight from independent Newgrounds creators. Then again, not everyone on Newgrounds wants that spotlight, especially from this community. By the way, is this library only limited to stock music? I'm sure Rob could easily throw in all the Meltdown and Sub-Zero songs, as well as music from basically any artist that gives him permission, whether they're on Newgrounds or not. There's a lot of potential with this part of the system, and I'm excited to see where that goes. The trailer also shows the song trigger, which lets you cut up and switch songs mid-level. Building a level, but the song has a boring part or something that loops for too long? Just cut it out. Want to make a coin that literally changes the level to Bloodbath? Go for it. Want to use the intro to a song and then skip right to its final beat drop? That's doable too. In particular, music switching is going to be insane for platformer levels, since having the same dubstep blaring in the background the entire time feels so wrong. Not to mention, you can also adjust the pitch and volume of music, and based on this channel option, maybe you can even play multiple songs at once to make the zany mashup of your dreams. The trigger also has a second page, which means that there's probably going to be even more options. Maybe there's proximity-based music, where it gets louder and less muffled the closer you get to it. It's all really exciting. This old video from RobTop is probably my favorite usage of it. I do wonder though, are artists gonna be cool with this? Maybe some of them don't want their music cut up or pitch shifted into nightcore. I'm sure 99.9% of artists aren't going to care, but who knows? Alongside the music library, as you've probably seen already, there's also custom sound effects, and I mean a lot of them. This was supposed to be a 2.3 feature, but I'm really glad we're getting it now since platformer levels would have been terrible without it. It seems like you can link them up to any event in the level, from jumping to sliding to using an orb to everything in between. You can change the speed, pitch, volume, you can loop them for things like bubbling lava, you can change the volume based on proximity, you can even add reverb? A while back, I asked RobTop on Discord if we could submit our own sounds for the library, and he said it's super doable provided a proper deal is struck with the creator, which means there is a non-zero chance that we could get Eric Van Wilderman or Woolsey to say a bunch of silly voice lines and then freely use them in our own Geometry Dash levels. Also, apparently this guy, Sharks Tunes, is making some sounds specifically for Geometry Dash. Not only that, but he's taking requests. Someone asked for Blomp, he said he could try remaking it. Breakcore, already done. Death sounds, a whole bunch of custom ones. Music notes, completely doable. Metal pipe? You know what? By the way, I do wonder how sound effects are going to be used in non-platformer levels. They're not necessary at all, but I'm sure people will want to use them. Maybe a thud sound for sudden movements, or once again, bubbling lava. I really have no idea what's going to happen, but something tells me the sound effects slider will hit different in 2.2. Okay, music and sounds isn't the only thing we're getting in this update, so let's rapid fire through the other features. 10,000 groups is a much needed feature, and it's funny how changing a single number in the code can get people this hyped. I'm sure the limit could have been even higher, but I think this is a fair cutoff to make sure people actually optimize their levels. There's a ton of new editor stuff to make things more convenient, so hopefully the effects that used to take dozens of groups now only require 1 or 2. There's also some new buttons all around the group settings, and I already know what a handful of them do, but I really hope they're explained in-game. Gameplay rotation is a pretty big deal, and from what we've seen, it looks super cool. By the way, you remember about Rattle Dash? Because he decided to stop by. I never really considered how rotating gameplay would be used in platformer mode, but this looks awesome. It's something Mario Galaxy played around with, and it's extremely fun when done right. In traditional gameplay though, I almost feel like this is going to be the next mirror portal. People like levels where you go forwards, and suddenly switching directions can break that flow if you're not careful. It also seems really annoying to sync. Will people play around with this in the beginning? Absolutely, it's one of the update's main features. Will it be in the majority of levels going forward? I wouldn't count on it. There's also a new orb in this clip. Maybe a new custom orb design, maybe it's a gravity orb, or a teleport orb since there doesn't seem to be a way to escape this room. Or maybe it's not an orb at all since it's not rotating. My guess is that it does nothing by default, because I've started to realize that RobTop leaves everything to the creator now. For example, if this was like 1.0, then these moving arrows would be the literal thing that changes your gravity. But now, it's an invisible object that changes it, and it's up to you to figure out how to decorate that. It really is funny how that happens. There's no definitive visual to go with any of the new game mechanics anymore. Particles! We've seen this in the past. They're cool, they're customizable, they're particles. What else is there to say? There's only one thing I want for particles, and it's the ability to detonate them. Because I'm not sure if the particles are constantly running, or if you can trigger a single big explosion of them every time you collect a coin or something. For shaders, I have tons of faith in the community for this. I've seen how these are used in other games, and it leaves me so excited for what Geometry Dash creators will do with them. Although I'm sure there will be levels that go overboard, so hopefully you can toggle them off. Whatever happens, just please don't do this stupid retrovision thing. The gradient trigger looks awesome, especially with blending modes thrown in. I hate that everything in this trigger is abbreviated to a couple of cryptic letters, so that I button in the corner is going to have a lot of heavy lifting to do. But yeah, functionality wise, this trigger is amazing. Right, Rattle Dash? Oh yeah, and chances are now people don't have to put a giant glow in the background of their levels anymore. Go to riddance. The area trigger is going to lead to some of the coolest effects we've ever seen in the game. It basically affects any object you get close to, kind of like these transitions from 1.0, but extremely customizable. With just a single trigger, we got dynamic lighting before Mojang added it. Camera controls are probably the best feature of the entire update. As long as they're used responsibly, they can make any level look so good. Epic beat drop, rock the camera back and forth a little. 4x speed section, zoom out so you can see further ahead. And why use a mirror portal when you can just 180 the entire screen? Keyframes, yeah, move triggers are dead, pack it up everyone. This is going to be a total game changer for boss fights. Now you can animate anything like in actual animation software. But like, what the heck is going on with this interface? Please, kill it, get it away from my face. Auto building. Click a button and your block design's done for you. Huge time saver, 10 out of 10 feature. Layouts will forever be changed after this. As far as block designs go, I actually hope that the default blocks in 2.2 are enough to make a good level. Right now, if you build a level in 2.1 with default editor blocks, people really hate it. We've all collectively agreed that levels need custom block designs for some reason. I hope that's long gone in 2.2 because there's already so many awesome looking tile sets. Some people worry that auto building will raise the bar for good block designs, but I think that it's a tool that will lower it. We shouldn't judge levels based on how hard they were to build, but rather how good the final product looks. And thanks to auto build, the barrier to entry for making good looking levels is lower than ever. Advanced follow seems really good for platformer, but I'm not sure how it'll be used elsewhere. It seems like it's going to be a massive pain to get the exact behavior you want, but maybe some tutorials will help with that. The spawn trigger delay has 4 decimal places now, and hopefully that means it's been improved since right now load delays completely break with lag spikes. From what I recall, spawn ordered is a new feature that activates a bunch of triggers from left to right as if you moved through them normally. So timing events that have multiple steps will be easier than ever. There's also remapping, which means that these platforms are all controlled by the same triggers, even though they move individually from each other. For the people who understand what I mean by that, you probably already know why this is awesome. That's all the triggers we get to see in this video, but according to the description, there's 80 more, which is super exciting, but also terrifying when learning just one seems hard enough. Triggers aside, there's also 39 new backgrounds. That's the Miku number. A lot of the existing backgrounds come right from Shutterstock, and I'm sure these ones do too, but they look fantastic, so no complaints. I think you can even use multiple in a single level now. People really like making their own custom backgrounds though, so hopefully there's an incentive to actually use these. There's over 50 new fonts, and you're telling me I have to cycle through them one by one with these little arrows, and I have to add all of them to my font website. And I have to find the name of all of them because RobTop doesn't credit the fonts he uses for some gosh darn reason. I'll take the new fonts, but like seriously, man? By the way, the editor settings screen was cleaned up a lot. The speed and game mode buttons are now sub-menus, and there's a new options menu which will probably have stuff like 2-player and platformer mode. There's also a middle ground which goes in front of the background, and as much as I like it, did 3DL really deserve to die for that? Heading outside the editor, it seems like RobTop realized we all hate map packs because he really said screw it, do it yourself. Not only can you make custom lists, but you can share them too. I doubt there's rewards for beating these, but there doesn't need to be. The potential for this feature is unlimited. There could be an auto-updating demon list, or a list of rated levels with secret ways. You could organize the series you make or just highlight your best levels. I like that you can also assign a difficulty face for the list, but part of me hopes there's other icons to choose from as well, like a spike or a heart or something. I also really like this compact design where you can see about 5 levels on a single screen as opposed to 3. Hopefully this can be toggled anywhere and isn't just for lists. Interestingly enough, this is something I pitched in one of my older videos, and I'm not gonna take credit, but Another thing I pitched in that video was abbreviated download and like counts, and when you look at that, it's in the video as well. This is so much more readable, and I'm really happy to see it, and if it's anything like the mod I use, chances are you can still see the full count when you view the level. Also, I saw some people complaining that this corner isn't aligned, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's already in a lot of places. 9 slices can suck sometimes. I'm not sure what happened to this shopkeeper, but he's a silly little guy. It seems like instead of taking mana orbs, this guy wants diamonds, probably to eat. But not just any diamonds, he wants diamonds. RobTop talked about this a while ago, and diamonds are diamonds that you spend. So diamonds are your total number of diamonds, and diamonds are the diamonds you haven't spent yet. Makes sense, right? But wait, why stop at diamonds? Maybe there's also gonna be a shop that takes stars, or moons, demons, user coins. Really, I'll take anything if it means we get more shopkeepers that look like this fella. And here's the long-awaited mechanic. I thought they were gonna sell trails and death effects and even new animations for the spider and robots, but either it's on another page, or it's yet another icon shop. Nothing too crazy in this screenshot, but I do wonder why they're selling the skull of icon 115, and once again, no credits button. Big yikes. I do wonder where these shops will be located though. I doubt they're all getting crammed in the treasure room, so it probably means there's all sorts of new areas to explore. Maybe it's in the map, maybe it's related to the monster lore, and hopefully it's not another vault. And what's this guy's name gonna be? Blobtob? This is a wild guess, but based on looks, I almost feel like he's gonna hang out in the prison cell once you free the monster. And if I'm somehow right about that, you will never hear the end of it. Here's the treasure room again. Notice it's a lot more organized now, and I like it a lot. There's 2 more pages hinted at the bottom, but we already know that one's for milestone chests and the other's for the shops. Also, here's built-in FPS bypass, so go argue about it in the comments or something. Thankfully, I think the physics are consistent across all refresh rates now. New shards, like blood shards, in my children's game? I guess that's a few more places to sneak in icons. I don't know how you get these shards, maybe it could be through gauntlets, could be through the treasure room, or maybe it's exactly the same as the existing shards. Maybe they don't even unlock until you get all of the previous ones. We don't see this in the trailer, but shards seem to be tied to something called paths. If I had to guess, it's probably the platformer version of map packs, which rewards moons and shards instead of stars and coins. RobTop can add map packs at any time, but I think the reason he doesn't is because he doesn't want to add more secret coins to the game. In the off chance that I'm right about what paths are, hopefully they won't have that problem. And that's Geometry Dash 2.2, coming soon to a RobTop App Store, Google Play, Steam near you. Shout out to this 14 in the background, which hints that RobTop's gonna wait until November 14 to decide if it was a coincidence or not. You know, I don't know if I'm ready to say goodbye to Update 2.1. It may have been almost 7 years, but throughout that time we've continued to push the limits of the game, and I'm sure that even without an update, we could keep the flame burning for many more years. When 2.1 released, I was 12 years old, in grade 7, with a whopping 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. I went through all of high school, a global pandemic, and 1.5 years of university with this single update. We went from Bloodbath, Sonic Wave, and Yatagarasu being the hardest demons to them not even making the top 100 anymore. From Master Game being the ultimate minigame to a ray-traced 3D maze. From hacks being exe files to an in-game mod that overhauls the entire editor. We've made movies and told stories. We've conquered the impossible and buffed the possible. We've made music, art, animations, websites, icons, challenges, fan games, whatever the hell this is, contests, memes, merch, experiments. It's only been 6 years, but it feels like it's been both a lifetime and a month or two. But in just a few weeks, the biggest chapter of this game's history will come to a close, and an even bigger one will begin. I really loved the constraints and limitations of 2.1, but I can't deny that I'm excited to see what we can accomplish when the full potential of Geometry Dash is unlocked. 2.2 will be the best thing to ever happen to this game, and before we know it, more updates will go by, the community will continue to grow, and only veterans of the game will vaguely remember the period we're in right now. One day, we're gonna look back on this 2.2 trailer and think, remember when the game wasn't like this? If you're still here, thanks for sticking around, and thank you for everything you've done in 2.1. Whether you've played levels or published them, watched videos or uploaded your own, beat list demons or admired the people that do, people like you are the reason this game is what it is today, and I could not be more grateful to be part of such an amazing, creative, and passionate community. And RobTop, in the off chance that you're watching this, thank you for pouring your heart into this update, even if it took this long to get there. Few developers can steer their games into such an amazing direction, and words can't express how much I appreciate everything you've done for your game and its community. With all that being said, thanks for watching, and see you all in 2.2.